Following World War I, observances began to honor those who died in all American wars. In 1915, the Canadian doctor John McCrae had written in Flanders Fields to express his anguish over the carnage he had experienced while tending the wounded and dying in World War I. Touched by this poem that same year, Miss Marina Michael designed a red poppy to honor the fallen and sold poppies to coal workers to raise money for veterans in need. The idea took hold, and within less than a decade, the VFW conducted its first nationwide poppy distribution, and the following year, the Buddy Poppy was born, assembled by disabled and needy veterans. And I must confess that when I did this research, I had to get out my poppy and look. And in fact, the little tag does say Buddy Poppy. I never noticed the word Buddy associated with it before. I would be remiss if I did not mention the National Holiday Act of 1971, which made Memorial Day into a 3-day weekend. Many believe this change has undermined the meaning of the day. In an effort to return the appropriate significance to Memorial Day, in 2000, President Clinton declared a national moment of remembrance, a moment of reflection accompanied by taps at 3 p.m., a simple and unifying way to commemorate our history and to honor the struggle to protect our freedoms. We are here today to remember and reflect on the ultimate sacrifice made by these fallen heroes, to honor their sacrifice and to renew the pledge to aid and assist their families. At this point, I would like to include a little bit of information about our latest fallen veteran. Many of you may have read about this in the newspaper. That last week, Sergeant Edwin Rivera of the 1st Battalion of the 102nd Infantry Regiment of the Connecticut National Guard died as a result of wounds he received in a firefight in Afghanistan. He was a resident of Waterford, and he left behind a wife and 2 small children. Before he left, and this was his second deployment, this is how he described his reasons for service. I was born for this. It's my duty to protect those families over there. We are very fortunate to have individuals such as Sergeant Rivera to look after us and protect us and other families in the world that need it. At this time, I'd like to close with a recitation of In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. Let us go forth from this service with a renewed appreciation for the sacrifices made by the fallen soldiers and their families to preserve our freedom and our way of life. As citizens of the United States, let us be ever mindful of the responsibility that we bear not to break faith with those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you.
I would like to ring the bell for my 4 brothers, but first I'd like to tell you a little story about in the service. When you first go in, you have no rank, so they call you by your last name. Everybody doesn't have the same last name. And my duty was to go to the kitchen to help the cook. So you do all the usual things, peel potatoes, cut the sandwich. And then the chef said to me, take that paddle, get on that table and stir the batter. But if you go into the mess hall, there's a list of food that you're going to get for the meal. And this one says special cake. So I get up on the thing and I start stirring the batter, and it looks like a paddle for a canoe. Stir it. And he says, don't forget, stir the bottom up good. So I stirred it, all of a sudden I look inside. There's a couple of legs, a few wings, and other stuff. So I said, Sarge, come over here. Now what's the trouble? I said, well, you got something in the soup here. He says, he goes, look, don't worry about it. He said, that's protein. That'll break up and dissolve. I said, okay. Mixed it all, poured it in the big pan, baked it, ready to serve the troops. Then he said to me, Papa, I don't want other people's ears to hear what your eyes saw. And he said, you're in charge of delivering the cake. Okay. But I said, I don't want to see any more cake left when you get through. Okay, the troops were fed, the pans were empty. Only on one pan I had a piece of cake in the corner. He come over and he says, well, how'd you do, Papa? I said, Sarge, all the cake is gone. He said, what's that piece doing there? Wait a minute, Sarge. I took the knife, cut it in half. I said, one half for you, one for me. And you know, after that, whenever I saw the menu, special pie, special dessert, special cake, I says, boy, what a lot of protein we're going to get.